Wasn't there any of that?
Yes. Yes. Yeah, they did.
Okay, me in the room. Hey, the band.
And okay, cool. So let's.
I'm gonna take this over here.
Oh, to see if it works. Okay. No problem. So what I want to do, we started last week. Let's do a review. We started last week on spiritual law.
Spiritual law.
And
So everything has a cause,
everything has a cause.
effect take place after the cause.
Mm-hmm. So the cause was in this, remember, so we're going to call it law number 1. And so it's, from the unseen to the seen. That's the law. And then you said everything has a cause. The effect takes place afterwards. So is the cause in the seen or in the unseen?
Cause is in the seen. Well, okay, let me shut up. I'll go. That works.
Is the cause in the seen or in the unseen? So the cause is where it starts or where it finishes? Where it starts, okay. And so that means the effect must be where it finishes. I can say finishes or
beginning.
Manifest.
Cause is the finish.
Cause the beginning.
Effect is the manifestation of the result.
Yep, manifestation or result. And so which one will be the seen and which one will be the unseen? Jackie, which one do you think is the seen and which one do you think is the unseen? Does it start in the unseen or does it start in the seen?
Unseen.
The unseen, good. God bless you. God bless you. All right. So from the unseen to the seen is the law. That's the way God works. So we said there's a cause and there's an effect. So the cause is the start of it. And it starts in the unseen because it comes from the unseen to the seen. So it starts in the unseen and then it finishes, it manifests or results in the seen. Okay? So this is just a review. What scripture did we say we came from? We came from 2 scriptures.
Hebrews 11:3. 2 Corinthians 4:18 and Hebrews 11:1.
Yep, Hebrews 11:3.
No, 1.
Well, 1 is really faith. So it's Hebrews, and then 2 Corinthians 4:18. Yeah.
Romans 8:14.
Yeah. Yeah. So for this law, these are the 2 scriptures that we came from. Hebrews 11:3, 2 Corinthians 4:18, We talked about cause and effect. So just for a review, let's run through those verses just so we can make sure, because even though I'm teaching separate spiritual laws, they actually are interconnected. They work together. Kind of like the laws in our carnal world work together. So we're going to turn to Hebrews 11 and 3, and then someone else turn to 2 Corinthians 4:18. All right. So what we got in Hebrews 11 and 3.
Through faith we understand that the world was framed by the word of God, so that things which are seen was not made of things which appear.
All right, so through faith we understand that the world was framed by the word of God. And then what's the second part say?
So that things which are seen was not made of things
Okay.
which do appear.
So that things which are seen was not made by things which do appear. Does that make sense? So do you see where this law comes from? From the unseen to the seen. Things that we see was not made from things that we see. Okay? Things that we see was actually made by things that we don't see. That's a law, and you need to understand that. Is God a physical or is he a spirit?
Spirit.
Okay, so is he going to deal with us in the physical or is he going to deal with us in the spirit? As a matter of fact, the flesh, he says, is going to die. It's temporal. It has a time limit on it, right? Okay, so we're just doing a review. I'm not going through the whole thing. 2 Corinthians 4:18.
Okay, while we look not at the things which are seen.
Okay, let me read. Let me repeat after you. So while we look not after the things which are seen,
But at the things which are not seen, but the things which are seen.
okay, so but at the things which are not seen. So we don't look at the things which are seen. We actually focus on the things which are not seen. Because what? Because what?
The unseen.
Because the things which are not seen.
Not seen.
Keep going.
Temporary,
Are temporary.
but the things which are not seen are eternal.
But the things which are not seen are eternal. So we said it like this. Remember, time is like a line, right? It's ongoing. Excuse me. Eternity is like a line. It's ongoing. So eternity then will be the unseen. Where is God?
Unseen.
Yeah, he's in eternity, right?
Yeah.
So what he did is he marked out a gap. And he called that gap time. Therefore, everything that takes place within this gap is temporary. It has a start and it has an end.
You know, that's good because you know what? What you said, it's not gonna last forever.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
so that's what God come in the unseen because if okay, we might be going through trials and tribulation,
Mm-hmm.
but if we hang on in there and be overcome,
Right?
you know that because God sent us. I mean, we go to trials and tribulations.
Exactly. And you go through your trials and your tribulations in time. But Paul said, for I recognize the sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared to the glory which shall be revealed. So we're going through in time for a bigger reason. It actually benefits us for where we're going ultimately.
Yeah.
Okay? So you said the key word overcomer, so that's good. Okay, any questions on this? Because if you missed this last week, then
Okay.
you just have to ask questions. So the reason why this is important, I want to review because I know that it can be kind of dense, but then also they kind of build on each other. So if you don't understand one, you're going to be like, oh man, because I want to keep referring to things from before. Okay. So you got that? All right. So I'm going to erase this. And then, so we see here our flesh, our soul, and our spirit man, right? First, second, and third heaven. And when we're talking about the unseen actually starts in second heaven. It actually starts in our soul realm. Can you see your soul?
Can I see your
You
soul?
can't see your soul? Okay. So I was wondering, I didn't know what kind of
I
glasses.
was reading this, and I wait, I'm
I didn't know what kind of glasses you had on.
So he made the Bible.
Right. So you can't see your
I was
soul.
reading this, and I said,
So can you see your spirit?
No.
no,
Can you see your spirit?
no.
So remember, it's like this. So we drew it first, second, and third heaven.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
To explain it.
Spirit.
But remember, it's actually like an onion.
Yeah.
Okay? So this will be third heaven here.
And layers.
This will be second, and this will be first. So which one is visible? Which one can we see?
First.
First. That's right. You can't see second, you can't see third. So you can't look at a person and see their spirit. But tonight we're going to expand our understanding of that. Any questions? No? Okay, so let's go to law number 2. That's law number 1, from the unseen to the seen. These are spiritual laws. What's important about these spiritual laws? Let me give you some pointers. What's important about these spiritual laws is that, let's see. I have so many notes on this. So the spiritual law, I don't want to say that yet. Spiritual laws, this is above carnal, and it is outside the natural confines, the confines of nature. It's above the carnal, and it's outside the confines of nature. It's above the carnal, so think of your onion. It's above the carnal. God's ways are higher than our ways. His thoughts are higher than our thoughts. So it's above the carnal, and it's actually outside the confines of nature. When you talk about a spiritual law, because there's natural laws as well, right? So we have natural laws that definitely make sense in this arena. You have to follow those laws, or else you'll suffer the consequences. There's psychiatric laws. There's laws for our mind. You have to follow those laws. If you don't, you'll suffer the consequences. And then there's spiritual laws. Those spiritual laws have to be followed as well. If you don't, you'll suffer the consequences. So just out of curiosity, which one do you think is the most powerful? 3.
Yeah.
Because when you get here, it's a theocracy.
Between you and God, that's good.
That's you and God. So the theocracy, I don't know why I tried to spell that. Theo, meaning God, it's God's way. You don't go to heaven and say, I'm going to exercise my free will. No, you're not. You don't have no free will here. That's why Satan, is Satan here?
No.
You need a tissue too?
You got kicked out of there.
Huh?
You got kicked out of there.
He got kicked out of there. Yeah. How do you?
Thank you.
he got kicked out of there and went there, right? So he's actually here. And remember how the world is a system that governs earth? Remember how we taught that? So he's here, and that system, which is above the ground, the terra firma, the ground, it's regulating what goes on the ground. So that system, which we call the world, is governing how we're supposed to act on top of the ground. So we are not limited to that where Satan is, or where the kingdom, you see how it's divided in two? We have an option. We don't have to be stuck. You have your, no, I don't want to let wrong, but you don't have to be stuck. So what you can do is you can live above that. Yeah, you don't have to be partakers of that. We can actually assume our position of authority, position of authenticity. All right, so you get that. So I think I'm ready to move on to law number 2. Any questions? Let me make sure you have any questions. Let me know if you have any questions. Any questions about law number 1? So if God is going to do something in your life, how's he going to do it?
Spiritual.
But what's the law?
Unseen.
Unseen. So he's going to do it. So it's from the unseen to the seen.
Right.
So if God is going to do something in your life, how's he going to do it?
Unseen.
He's gonna bring it
From the unseen to the seen.
He's gonna do it unseen. I wrote it down. He's gonna do it to unseen to the seen.
Yes.
Result.
Right. So if God is, if you're looking for God to heal you, he's going to do it from the unseen. He's going to heal you. The healing is already waiting for you in the unseen.
Yeah.
And you have to grab that and bring it into the seen.
spiritual.
From spiritual to psychological, right? Get your mind right, lined up with the Spirit of God, and then you can get your flesh, your carnal man, lined up with that.
Okay,
Right.
because you know what this was, like I said, remember when I was in the hospital, I broke this leg, and you know, they was coming around, and she said, you know what, you doing the best thing, you got the best medicine, you all come, I couldn't do nothing to be bad, because I couldn't walk. So I'm back there again. I'm up here, you know, I'm up there, I'm feeling, you know, and she said, you want to share the Bible? Yeah, come on, share the word.
Mhm.
And she said, I like your attitude, you know, and she said, your leg will heal better.
Mhm.
You know, I'm like, okay, you know, because it's the attitude, the thought, you can't be evil.
Mhm.
Right.
Oh, you
Hello?
you
So, yeah, you can't be evil and expect God to heal you. All right, so you have any questions about law number 1? You went over law number 1 last week. Did you have any questions?
No.
All right, so how does God do it? From the,
Unseen to the seen.
thank you, from the unseen to the seen. All right, now we're going to do law number 2.
Okay. My books.
I know.
Sewing and reading.
All right, so I'm going to take a different angle on this, just because I feel like you can handle it. So what I wanted to tell you, so the spiritual law is above the natural law, okay? It's outside the confines of nature. It's high above the astral realm, right? The astral is here where we get astrology. Technically, it's here in astrology, but it's in second heaven. So it's high above that because God said His ways are higher, right? It's the highest realm of the unseen because we have two realms in the unseen, right? Second and third heaven. It's the highest realm of the unseen that governs all that is seen. It is the source of the unseen. So cause and effect, where does it begin? You don't know, look at your notes.
Cause and effect begin at the root,
It begins at the root. Which one is the start?
the agenda.
Which one is the start? Cause or effect?
Cause the cause.
Cause. So the cause begins where? In the unseen, which is in the spirit.
Right.
So it starts in the spirit and then it manifests. The effect comes in the seen. Okay, so in order for you to remember, that's law number one, so you should be able to step on top of that. So this law, the spiritual laws govern everything that is seen. So remember how we taught on it looks different there than here because of the dimensional laws are different. So when you look at how Ezekiel saw the kingdom, he saw the throne of God. And at the throne he saw these figures moving, but they were moving outside of our understanding of the laws of gravity. Are you following me? So when they wanted to go that way, did they turn and go that way? No. They didn't turn. They just went that way. So if they're facing this way and they want to go that way, they just went that way. And so, and the wheels didn't turn. The wheels didn't move with it. It just went. And so what it's showing you is just by, you know how right now I look normal walking, but if you take me to second heaven in space, am I going to be able to walk around in space?
No, you're gonna be.
Why?
Because of gravity.
Because the law of gravity changed. So if I go and walk around in heaven, you think I'm going to go in heaven like?
No.
No. These laws apply to here. Okay? That's important for you to understand. That's why when you talk about visions of heaven, this is why they're like, well, it looked like jasper, it looked like diamonds, it looked like jade, because we only have a limited reference point when we're referring to things up here because it's different. Okay? So, just trying to show you how it changes, just a little perspective. That's interesting. I don't want to go there. So, you remember I taught about patience looks different there. Patience looks different in the seen than it does in the unseen. Right? Remember that? Why? Why does it look different in the seen and the unseen? What do you have to go through to get it?
Okay, it look different in the scene because when you move up in the higher level, like you say, gravity, and then you going up higher and into the lower. So you know, like you said, we can't walk like this. We gonna be walking like we float.
So it looks different there. But in order for me to get it from the unseen to the seen, I have to go through tribulation. Right? Because isn't that what the scripture says?
Yeah. I don't know, but I know you guys go through.
Tribulation brings patience.
I know we go through tribulation.
Experiences.
Right. Through physical experiences, that's how I actually get it from the unseen. So I have to go through something. There's a waiting period. This will make sense, more sense in just a second. Okay, so the last thing I want to say about, I'm trying to repeat these each time so you can get it, but the spiritual law is the highest legal system. You know how the Bible says, and the government shall be upon his shoulders. So the spiritual laws are the highest legal system. Where am I? I lost my note just that fast. Well, maybe that's all. Oh, here it is. Highest legal system. It's far above the Supreme Court. Yeah, it's the courtroom of God, right? It's the highest court possible. So, now, let's get into the sowing and reaping. Let's turn to Matthew 7, 16 and 27.
The spiritual law, the highest.
Spiritual law is the highest legal system. Spiritual law is the highest legal system. So you remember when he talked about the fruit of the Spirit?
Yeah, it did.
Okay, kindness, love, long suffering, and then he said, against such is no law. Right? So you can get in trouble in this realm for loving someone too much. But is it real trouble? Because let me keep going. But no, so what happens is this overrides this. So I can love Erica, and then she can get mad at me and hate me and beat me up and talk about me, and I'm going to go through a season of her not liking me and, oh man. But if I keep loving her, guess what's going to happen?
She's gonna love you
Right.
back.
She's going to love me back because of the spiritual law. So she might act in her flesh, in a natural law, and be like, I don't want to talk to you. I can't stand you. But if I remain consistent and seated in my spiritual law, it will come to pass. But thank God I don't have to, because Eric already left. All right. So Matthew 7, verse 16 through 20. 16 says, ye shall know them by their fruits. Do men gather grapes of thorns or figs of thistles? So I said to you earlier, I said, the spirit is in the unseen, right?
Yeah.
So we can't see the spirit. But I said I want to expand on our understanding of that, because I'm not going to say teach you, because you do know this. I just want you to be able to understand that with this law, I can learn, I can see a person's spirit. And remember, let me make this very clear to you. In the spiritual realm, there is no way that you can deceive. It is what it is. So what they say is, if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, what is it?
It's a love.
You don't have to be like, well, I don't know, because, it could be. No, it's a duck. So in the spiritual world, it's very black and white. And it's so black and white that's why when angels come and when they're trying to interpret, they ask you, well, what do you see? Do you understand what you see? Because it's so plain that you're like, oh my God, I don't get it. And I know you're all writing, but the reason why you don't get it is because our mind, it's above our understanding. It supersedes our understanding. You're talking about the spiritual. Our mind is like, because you're trying to get it with your mind, but you have to get it with your spirit. So if you can understand this law, that you can see a person's spirit. How can you see a person's spirit?
Knowing by their fruit, like
That's right. This will not lie. This cannot lie. By their fruit. Okay? This is, I'm coming at you with state from this, because I could have went the whole one that he was thinking. You reap what you sow. That what a man sowed. Yeah, you got that. I'm coming at you with state. So I want you to see the way this law actually works. Because these laws, if you can learn how to navigate with these laws, then you'll learn how to truly walk with God. You'll learn how to really lock into being in the kingdom. Okay? So, I can see a person's spirit by their fruit. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So if it makes sense, then I'm going to read this verse again. So it's saying, you shall know them by their
Fruit.
All right, so then he's asking, well, do you get grapes from thorns?
No.
Okay. Do you get figs from thistles?
No.
No, you get figs from fig trees.
Right.
And you get grapes from grapevines.
Right.
Right? So in the spiritual realm, you're not going to go to an apple tree and get an orange.
Right.
That does not work that way. You're not going to go to someone, in the natural realm, we could smile and act like we like you. But on the unseen, I can hate your guts. Hey, how are you? Right? That's in this realm. But in this realm, that is not possible. It is what it is. Okay? Get it? In this realm, where Satan was kicked out of, now he's here, right? This is where your divide comes. Kingdom of light, kingdom of darkness. But you don't have that option up here. It's only theocracy. When you're in God's presence, and this is why this is in God's presence, it's a theocracy. It is only God's way. There is no faking. You can't get there and deceive. I love the way Shirley Caesar said, everybody in heaven wants to be there. You're not going to get up there and be like, I ain't want to be here. This stupid place, all this gold. You won't, that won't make it there. Yeah.
But also, when you say that, that's why even in your worship, and when you really, like when you're before the throne of God, it's so different because it's pure. It's,
Yes.
you can't get to that place with a lie.
You actually become naked before God.
There you go. Yeah.
You become naked because in his presence, because this is what I was going to say, I didn't want to, but because he's a consuming fire, he consumes everything that's not like him.
Right.
So in his presence, you become bare.
Right.
You become exposed. You become vulnerable. You become who you really are. He sees you for who you really are. That's why worship is very important for the believer. Okay? Questions on that? I'm trying to go slow. No? So you'll know them by their fruit.
Right.
So we get that there's no deception there. Every seed, so even so, every good tree bringeth forth good fruit, but every corrupt tree bringeth forth. All right, so this is just fundamentally letting you know that the way this law works, you cannot be a bad tree and give off good fruit. Okay? You cannot be an apple tree and give off an orange. That's not the way this law works. Exactly what you put in is exactly what you get out.
What are we talking about? The third level.
Third level. You're talking about the third level, but you're talking about applying the laws of the third level to where we are right now. Okay? So I'm taking you a different route. But yeah, it's gonna all make sense. It's gonna keep closing in and make more and more and more sense. All right, so please ask questions as we go because I want you to make sure you're clear. All right, so somebody read verse 18.
A good tree cannot bring forth evil fruit, neither can a corrupt tree bring forth good fruit.
All right, so this again is this is the third time it's letting you know, so this must be really important for us to understand. By the way, just to test your understanding, what spiritual gift do we have that automatically tells us this? Discernment. The spiritual gift of discernment. Boom. I'll tell you, good tree, bad fruit. Good tree, good fruit. Bad tree, bad fruit. No, but I really what? Good tree, good fruit.
That's where we mess up.
Bad
That's
tree,
where
bad
we
fruit.
mess up when we start negotiating with what the Spirit has told us.
Say that again.
That's where we mess up when we start negotiating what the Spirit has told us.
Okay, so
we discern that.
when you negotiate, when you negotiate, that's right.
That's right.
Heaven number 2 of the mind. And that's where our understanding is. So that's why God, does he speak to us in our understanding or does he speak to us in our spirit? He speaks in our spirit. We try to bring that we try to funnel it into our little teeny minds to make it make sense. Oh, so you're saying go and possess the land. Yeah. I don't know how to do that because you're thinking about it. No one asked you to think. You just go do it, and that's another law, but just go slow. All right, so going slow, so yes, that is correct. That's why you get in trouble trying to here. On this drawing, it's here.
Yeah.
You get in trouble trying to take your spirit man and understand it.
Right.
The scriptures are very clear. The carnal man cannot understand the things of the spirit. It's actually foolish to him. Okay? They do not understand. Okay. No questions, I'm gonna keep going. All right, so I guess read 18 again, read the whole thing.
A good tree cannot bring forth evil fruit, neither can a corrupt tree bring forth good fruit.
Keep going.
Every tree that bringeth not forth good fruit is hewn down and cast into the fire.
Mm-hmm.
Wherefore, by their fruits ye shall know them.
All right, here we go. Erica preached a great message about we have the DNA of God. Okay? So what's the main thing God did with us other than all of the other creation?
He gave us a soul.
Who?
A soul.
A soul, yeah, that's fine. A choice, a soul. That's true. That's great. He gave us free will. He gave us a soul.
He made us in his own image.
He made us in his own image. Now, I would ask you to elaborate on that. When you say we're made in the image of God, we're made in the likeness of God, we're made to be like God, we're made like God, what does that mean?
That we're able to create, like he's able to create.
Yep. And he gave us, if I say this word, then you're going to get it. But he gave us a blank mandate.
A free will.
All right. Let's see if I spelled it right. Guess. What letter is in here?
E.
No.
Oh, I can put it like that.
Come on, guess.
R.
Everybody else getting no wait.
You gotta lose.
Come on, guess.
Yes.
S. No.
He said there was T.
No T.
No.
Keep going. We got 22 alphabets.
Can I buy a vowel?
Yeah.
You want a vowel? What vowel you gonna choose?
The letter A.
Okay. No.
F.
Huh?
F.
No.
Oh, goodness.
N.
Huh?
N.
Okay.
That's spelled wrong. It messes all up.
That's terrible. What else you got?
G.
No.
B.
B. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
No. Oh my gosh.
A, B, C, D.
Wait, A, B, C, D.
Yeah, she said, I think she said D. O.
Dominion.
Thank you.
You mean? Okay.
You can be on with a mandate.
Thank you.
Huh?
I
That's what
think
he
you're
does.
on with the
When he said mandate, that really just took me
Hope I
some.
spelled it right.
Well,
Oh my goodness.
He gave you the message.
Yeah.
that's the most important.
Broke down.
Yeah.
So he gave you dominion, but did he say, here's dominion? What did he tell you to do with it?
Oh, he told you the message over there.
Dominion over.
Right, so that's the mandate. Here, you got dominion. Now do this.
Okay, here, you got dominion.
And we got dominion, because he gave us dominion over lots of things.
Over everything.
Well, okay, well.
Over every work of his hand.
Right. All
Okay.
right, I'm getting there.
God.
All right, so I'm gonna leave that. So we have a dominion mandate. Maybe you should study a little bit more on dominion mandate. But when Erica preached, she talked about us having dominion. And the reason that we have dominion is because is God gonna come down here and run this place?
No.
To us? To
He gave us dominion.
He used a rock, right?
He can use anybody to preach the word, but he gave us dominion. This is actually very important. You know what? This is important. You just showed me why a lot of people don't walk in this. They don't understand this part of
It's
it.
a mandate, because the way you, like you asked it, the way you explained it.
Yes. So communion. Is communion a mandate?
Yes,
All right.
yes.
Loving your neighbor. Is that a mandate?
Yes.
All right. So you may not have known, but dominion is actually a mandate. You're supposed to walk in dominion. So when we don't, are we disobeying God?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. There you go.
But people take advantage of my, man, what's that word, man?
Mandate.
Yeah, they take advantage of my mandate.
Okay. How do people take advantage of your mandate?
Of my kindness.
Okay. People take advantage of your kindness. So we'll talk about that. Don't forget it. Don't forget that. We'll bring that. That's what comes.
Some people do take advantage of your kindness.
They do. They do, but let me finish. Write it down so you won't forget.
No, because you know, you feel trying.
It's gonna come up in the lesson.
You gonna try to text me.
No.
But you have dominion and all of that, so you have power.
Well, yes, you're right. Okay, so let me move forward. What's the last verse?
27.
Not everyone that saith unto me, Lord, Lord, shall enter.
No, 20. It was good.
20.
Oh, wherefore by their fruits ye shall know them.
All right, so can you see a person? So we were talking about the seen versus the unseen. All right, that was law number 1, from the unseen to the seen. So can you see a person's spirit?
Yes.
Now we understand, oh, well, wait a minute. I have been given the ability to see beyond what I can see. You have? How do you do that? This spiritual law. Right. This is very important. When you're walking in this realm with people, you have to understand that what you see spiritually actually is what you see spiritually. Why would that be important? Who is Satan? A deceiver. Oh, so are you telling me that if we're in the kingdom of light and we're in the kingdom of truth, that everything that's deceptive is from another kingdom?
Yes.
Oh, interesting. And why is that so interesting for you to understand? Is because you're talking about a spiritual law that lets you know it is what it is. What you see is what it is. You can rest assured. You can stand firm on what you see in the spirit is what it is. And then you got crafty little Satan coming and saying, well, is it? I don't know, is it? You see that? That is deception. That's from a different kingdom. You have to learn how to operate with this law. Bad fruit, what type of tree?
Bad fruit, bad tree.
Good fruit, what type of tree?
Good fruit.
Don't do, well, I mean, you could, because what if you got good? No. It is what it is. You got that? All right, I'm going to move on. So this is what you need to know with this law. There is a responsibility for you to work for what you want. I'm going to go slow. So there is a responsibility for you to work for what you want. You're talking about sowing and reaping. Good fruit, good tree. If I want good fruit, then what kind of tree do I have to plant? All right, there's a responsibility for you to work for what you want. There is a blessing on the other side of your work. There's a blessing on the other side of your work. This is a law. This is how God operates. This is how God relates with people.
The minister said something similar to that Sunday.
There's what?
There's a blessing. There's a blessing on the other side of your work.
Paycheck.
A paycheck.
That's true. That's true.
Does the Bible not say that He's a rewarder of those who diligently seek Him? Yeah, paycheck. There's a paycheck on the other side of your work. So if you really grab this law This will make you question every believer that's saying, well, I'm just going to wait on God because, Lord, I don't know how we're going to do this. You have dominion and you're waiting on God because you don't know how. What part of that is? That's foreign. That automatically tells me your growth level. Now, I want to be delivered, but I'm going to wait on God. Okay.
You gotta work on it.
You have to work for
You
it.
have to work.
Yep.
All right, so here we go. This is it. This is where we're going. So you have been given the keys to a door that you have decided to stand in line and knock on. You have been given the keys to a door that you have decided to stand in line and knock on. The door has been opened and we are refusing to go in. What door am I talking about?
Jesus.
The door of dominion. So who has the power?
We,
That's right. That's right. So you have to realize God is so powerful, He distributed power to us. Okay? That power that He distributed to us comes with a cost. God gave us dominion, and that power that He has given us comes with a cost. This power comes with a cost. So therefore, you choose an action, and guess what? You have chosen a consequence. You choose the action, and you have chosen a consequence. You're not helpless, you're actually empowered. You have the power. So if you choose an action, you have therefore chosen a consequence. Because you have the power. Spit that back at me, what you got?
I'll ask you an example.
Give an example, okay. So the man that was laying by the pool, he chose an action to lay there and wait for the water to be troubled and to wait for someone to take him and put him in the water. He chose an action. He therefore chose a consequence. Therefore, you're going to have to wait. When Jesus came to him, he came to him with the same law.
Get up. Take it.
Exactly. You have to make a choice.
You gotta make a choice to get
You
up.
have to make a choice. Get up. Rise up and walk. But you have to make a choice. The same choice that you could have made yesterday, you're going to have to make that choice today. Because you're not helpless. You actually have the power. We look at God in such a way that we are almost helpless. But we're not helpless because He gave us the power. And He gave us every blessing that we need for this life and the life to be godly. It's all there in the third heaven, just waiting for you. It's already there. Your healing is already, it's not like, well, I'm just waiting on God to heal me. God's like, we got to do that healing, you'll be fine. No, it's already there.
Thank
It's already in the layer.
you. It's for your action.
Yep, it's just waiting on you.
Yeah.
It's already in the layer. He already put the healing right there.
Right.
But, but like, say that Satan try to hinder you in so many ways from you to get to it.
Mm-hmm.
Like letting all kind of thoughts in your head,
Mm-hmm.
you keep on entertaining those thoughts off and on and off and on.
Right. So that's why you have to, that person entertaining their thoughts is being carnally minded. So what God is saying is for us in Romans, He says for us to be spiritually minded. So you have to, if your elbow is hurting, you can't stop that. It just hurts. Can you control the thoughts that come in your head?
No.
No. You can't control the thoughts that come in your head. Because where is Satan cast down to?
Right
In
there.
the second heaven. So you can't control those thoughts. What you can do is take those thoughts and bring them into captivity and control them that way. And the Bible says, make those thoughts obey Christ. So I can't control the thought coming into my head, but I can control, I'm going to take that thought and I'm going to make it obey the word. You're going to die. You know, last person died. I'm not going to die. I'm going to live to declare the glory of the Lord. You see what I'm saying? Does that take work?
Yes.
So the work that you have to do, you put work in and you're going to get your result because of this principle. So if you sow, I'm jumping now, if you sow, if you work in your flesh or you work in your mind, that's where your benefit is going to be, in your mind. But if you work or you sow in your spirit, that's where your benefit is going to be, is in your spirit. Okay? So, let me keep going. Okay, so think of a genie. This is what I was trying to say to express. So you think of a genie, and first I want to tell you this story. So there's this like story about this guy whose best friend is a king, and he tells his king, is like, oh my God, it's his birthday. He's like, what do you want for your birthday? And he's like, oh, a golf club, and because he likes to go golfing, so he wanted a golf club. And so he's like, oh, okay, cool. So then when it comes down to him actually getting his gift, the king bought him an actual golf club, a whole golf club. And he's like, oh, I just wanted a club. I didn't want to own a club. And it's like, the whole golf club. And the king is like, well, right? See, so the moral of that is think about who you're talking to.
Exactly.
You're talking to someone who is all-powerful. And that all-powerful person distributed power to you so that you can, in this realm, now you can't go to heaven and be all-powerful. That's not your domain. But you are supposed to be here and be all-powerful. Right? So what I said was, think of a genie. You can waste your words if you want to, but you shall have exactly what you say. Okay? So in this law, what you plant is what you're going to get. Okay? Therefore, it behooves you to work to be a good tree so that you can produce good fruit. Because there's no way you're going to be a bad tree and produce good fruit. The law doesn't work that way. All right? So, words are seeds, and those seeds are spirits. You plant it, and it will come. So what this is saying, you guys, is there's a natural consequence for our actions. Okay? There's a physical manifestation for what you have done in the spirit. That's what this is telling you. Okay? A physical manifestation for what you've done in the spirit, for what you planted in the spirit, what you've done in the spirit. There's going to be a physical manifestation. And you'll get why I'm being so aggressive with this. So, when you start talking about the words being a seed, when you have to, if you're taking a plant, do you just take a plant from the store and put it in the ground and walk away and be like, okay?
No.
That's what he does.
He's like, I do.
Okay. So if you do that, what happens to that plant? If you just put it in the ground, it dies. All right. So therefore, you have to water these seeds. You have to fertilize the seeds. And you have to make provision for these seeds. This is why Jesus said, when you pray, believe that you already have it. So when you pray, you believe that you already have it, and you start cultivating that. You see what I'm saying? I'm going to build on it. Yeah, you got something?
I planted some other day, water is still not.
All right. Okay, that's my fourth point. So he said he planted something the other day, he watered it, and it still died. That's a good point, and we're going to talk about that. Jackie forgot her point, but we're going to talk about that one. So what we see here in this law, let me erase all this.
How you know I forgot one point?
Because you write it down. There's a natural consequence for our actions. So if can God lie?
No.
Why can't God lie? Don't go spiritual. Don't go all deep. Why can't he lie?
Because he's true. He's true. He can't lie.
Y'all still went spiritual and deep. Literally, why can't he lie?
Absolutely.
He's absolute. When you say he's absolute,
He's all knowing.
if he says it's a white horse,
It's
It's a white horse.
Even if it's brown while you look at it.
even if it's brown while you're looking at it, it's going to change to white.
Perfect, well, perfect.
You said what? You see what I'm saying? So therefore, can God lie?
No.
So it's not that he can't lie because, oh, he's so perfect. He can't lie because he's so powerful. Literally, everything in the multiverse will line up to accomplish what he said. So if you're looking at this black, dry erase marker, he's like, it's green. Right in my hands, right in front of us, it will turn green. Therefore, did he lie?
No.
No. It has turned green because he can't lie. Now, he distributed that power to who?
Us.
Us. You said one of the mandates is to create. We create. So he distributed that power to us.
That's why we
So therefore,
be not. That's why we call those things to be not.
he calls those things that be not as though they were, and we can call those things that be not as though they were because of time. But I'm not going to draw that out. But yes, because of time. So therefore, because of all that power in your words, there's a natural consequence for what you did in the spirit. What did I say? There's a natural consequence for your actions. Natural meaning here. Nature is here. So what you did, because of this law, it has to manifest this way. I was just playing. You did it.
That would make me mad. Somebody come up, they be serious until you check them. Girl, you know I give a bit. No, you wasn't.
No.
And then I get serious. No, you wasn't. You was serious. Yeah, girl, you know I give a bit. Oh,
Yeah. And you know why they say I'm just playing? Because you're scratching on this area right here. So they don't want to stay in truth and say, well, that really did bother me when you did that.
That's right.
They don't want to, I know I'm playing, you don't care. I don't really care. So you come right over here. That's here. They're not being spiritually minded.
Right, because I was going to say, even in that, the spirit, your discernment,
Yeah, will
will
convict
let
you.
you know exactly.
So there's still.
That's
There's still a
right.
consequence.
There's still a consequence.
So,
That's right.
I mean, I'm jumping my nose, but yes, there's still a consequence. So, in this law, Jackie didn't want to remember, but.
yes, I did. People take advantage of my kindness.
Okay, good job. You did remember. Okay.
I tell you, that's what you look at.
So these are the 3 seasons of this law that you need to be aware of.
You better sowing, waiting, and weeping. You better write that down for me. Here, we get this thing.
Sowing, waiting,
I feel like
and reaping.
okay.
That's the hard part. So I took you, it's gonna end up easier than I started. I started very dense. Took you from state, we're gonna end up going over. But, so, yeah, chop it up. So, I said through 27. That's why Koya kept reading.
Right. I was stupid. I was like, it looked like a 7.
Let me make sure there's nothing else I want you to chew on in there before we stop at 20.
Yeah. 24.
Okay, so let me okay, let's let the Holy Ghost do this. So Jackie said that people take her kindness for weakness.
Take advantage of her kindness.
Okay. All right. They take advantage of her kindness. Where did her kindness come from?
Someone
Who? Yeah, is kindness not a fruit of the
Right,
Spirit?
that's
Yeah,
different.
yeah.
Okay. So kindness came from heaven, it came from third
I
heaven.
said it, the Lord, so.
Yeah, you got it. So God gave you this kindness, and here you go, giving it to someone, and you're telling me that they're taking advantage of it.
No, some,
So,
look.
no, I got you. Some people take advantage of it. So what I'm teaching you tonight is
Okay, teach me.
to understand these 3 seasons in this spiritual law.
Okay.
So if you're in a season where you're giving what God gave you, this kindness, you're giving it to people or to a person, to some people, and they're taking advantage of it, you just need to step and say, hold on, let me just look at where I am. Am I in a season of sowing? Am I in a season of waiting? Or am I in a season of reaping? So you have to understand, is God using you? Because it says it rains on the just and the unjust.
Oh, okay.
So is God using you to be kind to these evil people because you're an extension of His love?
Right.
So if that's the case, then you're in the season
I
of
said,
sowing.
that's what I was
You're just
saying.
giving.
And then see, sometimes I'll be in the season of reaping.
Yeah, sometimes you'll be in the season when they start to give to you
Right, okay,
kindness,
okay.
then you'll be in the season of reaping.
And sometimes I have to wait.
Sometimes you gotta wait.
Okay, so, well, you broke it down. Okay, I got it.
Okay, you got it?
Yeah, I
So
would-
that's because this is a spiritual law. And so we're supposed to stand strong in this. And no, you know what? That's okay. That's all right. It hurts.
Yeah, it do hurt.
It hurts.
When you didn't, look, I'm telling you, look, my neighbor, oh, Jackie, can you take me to the grocery store? And then, oh, can you take me to this? Can you come pick me up from the grocery shop? And I'm like, so I said, can I ask you a question? Your sister is going to call why you want, she won't let you use her truck. So then, you know what she had the nerve to tell me? You messy. So I said, you know, no, I said, no, this is what I said. I said, okay. I didn't go, when she told me that, called me, told me that, I'm like, okay, I hung the phone up, okay. I said, this, so she done called me like, oh, Jackie, about 4 months later. You know, I still like, I'm gonna say hi and bye. Because that's the kind of friendship I had to go towards.
So you shifted from sowing to waiting. You put distance on. You planted the seed. You put it in. You know you put good seed in the ground, and now they cut it. That's fine. So you just water the seed. Okay, you fertilize it. So if that takes distance, that's fine. You give them their distance. Do what you gotta do. I know what I put inside you. I'm still gonna love you. I'm still gonna be who I am. And guess what? As I do that, this law tells me that what's coming up is kindness. This is why the Bible says every knee is going to bow. It has no option because God first loved us. So He knows He put love in this. He knew He planted love. So guess what's coming back? You're going to respect me. Everybody, even the trees, you're going to all bow down because of who He is. Well, we have that same authority. And so what I'm trying to show you is how to walk with God. Use this law and walk with God. So that was Jackie's illustration. Do you guys get that? Okay. All right. Now, what I wanted to do was go back to this scripture. So if you look at, we stopped at 20. Okay? But if you look at 21, Jesus is talking. And He's explaining this law to you. And He says, so therefore, not everyone that saith unto me, Lord, Lord, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven, but he that doeth the will of my Father, which is in heaven. Many shall say in my name, Lord, but I did this, and I did that, I'm skipping. And I cast out devils, right? I did all that. Now I'm in verse 23. And I will profess unto them, I never knew you. Right? I never knew you. Depart from me, you workers of iniquity. How can this happen? Because in the spiritual, how can Jesus seem so cold to a person that said, but Lord, I'm calling you Lord, and I did this in your name, and I did that in your name. And He's like, get away from me, I never knew you. How can He do that? The same Jesus that looked at Peter and told Peter how much He loved him, called him a devil. How can He do that? Because of this spiritual law In the spiritual realm, if it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, what is it?
That's a dust.
So don't fool with no devil. Don't fool with it. You cut it. No, I never knew you. I never knew you. Get thee behind me, Satan. Because in our mind, we want to rationalize, but then, you know what I mean, but sometimes, no. Don't, if you're going to stay there, then don't go in the spirit. Don't try and work this law. Stay on your level. But if you want to grow, then you have to understand when God reveals it to you, it is what it is. And that's why Jesus,
Oh, I'm sorry. So then, listening to the story, so then to me, we have 1, 2, and 3, but 2 to me would be the ultimate culprit because at this point, that waiting can disrupt your soul memory.
yeah, that's right. Absolutely. Situation plus response equals outcome. This is right here is your investment. You think that this is it. You're just being obedient because you're just being sent. God gave you kindness. If God is loving you with kindness, you don't have no choice but to be kind. So you just being, but your investment, like Erica is saying, is right here in that waiting period.
So that can make or break.
That can make or break you.
Yeah, yeah.
Because you can, you know, I mean, ultimately, if you're a good tree, you're going to be good. But if you got bad in you, and you was sowing some halfway good seeds, guess what's coming back? That bad is bad. That's what's coming because it's in you. So what God has to do is deep-root that. So you're right. This waiting period is going to make you. You're going to see who you really are in that right there. All right. So he's saying, I never knew you. As the rain descended from the floods, came down from the winds. Right. He's explaining this principle that we already know. It all comes from the top. That's the flow. So how does God work? From the unseen to the seen, right? That's law number 1. Well, he's tying it in right here. Just as the rain comes down. Right? This is just the way this works. 26. And everyone that heareth these sayings of mine and doeth them shall be likened unto a foolish man, which is, why would he be likened unto a fool and doeth not them will be likened unto a foolish man? The foolish man builds his house upon the sand. But the wise man built his house upon a rock. I actually don't want to go on this. But anyway, so what he's saying is, I'll give you the wisdom on how to build a house that lasts. I'll give you the wisdom on how to be established, be mature, be complete. I'll give you that wisdom through this law. Because I'm going to show you straight up what is there. I'm going to show you just how it is. And that standard, what we call the kingdom of heaven is a standard of life, a way of living. That standard is how we're to operate. So we're supposed to stay in the kingdom. Someone treats you bad, you stay kind. See, you stay in that kingdom and you abide by this law. Okay, we'll move on. So that's the 3 things. As you grow in God, you become disciplined. Okay? As you grow in God, you become disciplined. You become mature. You become perfect. You become established. Yes, he will give you the desires of your heart. But as you keep growing, your desire becomes him. You want what he wants. You want to move how he moves. And you want to do what he says. That's why Jesus can say, if only the person who's doing the will of my Father, that's who actually is mine. That's who actually is the child of God. That's who, if you're following after the Spirit, that's who actually is. That's the proof that's in the pudding. So those that are led by the Spirit are in fact his children. That's Romans 8:14. So your signs of growth, the signs of growth, it says we should know them by what? The fruit. So therefore I can say the signs of growth are actually in the agenda of the believer. The signs of growth are in the agenda of the believer. So if we're putting on a program here, it's not really that big of a deal at this church, but I know some churches where this was a big deal. We're putting on a program here, and all of us are pitching in and helping out. And I come up and I thank everybody, but I leave out Koya. The agenda, by your fruits you shall know them. The agenda of the believer will determine their growth, will tell you where their growth is. So if I did all that and I said, thank you, everybody, oh my God, you were so great, I appreciate it, just went to everybody, and I forgot Koya. If her agenda was to be acknowledged, If her agenda was to be seen and to be upfront, if her agenda was to get glory from men, that's going to be revealed in this period right here. Because when she was sewing and helping, dusting everything and doing and just loving, right? You know, you had people, when I first got to this church, you had people doing all kind of stuff. And I'm like, wow, this is so nice. But when Pastor was gone, I didn't see them people. I was like, well, wait a minute, what happened? Because of eye service. So you have people just going crazy. And I'm like, wow. And when that is your agenda, in this right here, it's going to be smoked out. You're going to see it. So Koya will be offended. Well, you didn't even say thank you to me. That's right. Always these churches, that's what happens. And it's like, whoa, I'm sorry. And what's coming out is the fact that you had bad seed from the beginning. Is that, you guys get that?
Yeah, I got it because you know what? It's to show you, okay, when I say, I tell my family, I say, you know what? I say, I'm gonna do some ocean, my leg, all right. So I asked my auntie, auntie, come sleep in Ercher on the first Sunday. You know that she got offended, talking about, I don't like silent rock. I'm like, hold up, I ain't asked you to like silent rock. I asked you to come support me. You know, and I'm like, okay, I say, I know I was a member of the church, but I don't ever remember my auntie was a member of the church. So how she done hurt you and she ain't a member? She said, I asked them people and they wouldn't let me hurt you. So, I'm listening to her. I'm like, okay, auntie, you know what? I'm sorry I asked you. Since you got it now.
Okay. So, oops. Okay, good. So the agenda of the person will be revealed.
Yes.
And as we continue to grow and be disciplined with God, our agenda becomes His agenda, and we just want to please Him.
It's going to be served.
It's not that I'm doing this because I'm afraid to go to hell. It's not that I'm doing it because I don't want to be punished. No, I'm doing this because I want to please Him. I want God to be pleased with my life.
Yeah.
Okay? That's what happens as we walk with this. So, the pastor said, I planted and watered it and it still died. Okay? So I want to talk to you about purposeful planting. Say purposeful planting. It's under the same law. This is, sowing and reaping. So purposeful planting is simply you plant what you want to see. So you got to think of the way this is set up is from agriculture. And I heard a preacher say, they use a different definition of this, but agriculture means field and growing. Field and growing. So it's obviously set on a farmer, right? What do farmers do? They cultivate it. They work the ground. They work for what they eat. Oh, doesn't that sound like the spiritual? Doesn't that sound like God's way?
Yeah.
Didn't He say you don't work? Okay, so we get it. We get it, right? What does that mean? You don't work, you don't eat.
Exactly what it said.
Yeah, exactly what it
Exactly what it said.
You don't have a job? It is what it is.
Right, so what did I say? What did I start off saying? I said there's a responsibility for you to work for what you want. Do you remember me saying that?
Yeah.
Okay, so this law is telling you there's a responsibility for you to work for what you want. This is why it becomes illegal. This is very, very important when you're stepping outside. You're breaking a spiritual law when you set up rules that reward people for not working.
You set up what?
It becomes illegal when you set up rules for people that reap without working. You reward them for not
For
working.
not working. Yeah, the end result is going to be disaster.
It's a disaster. It's just like driving 100 miles an hour on the freeway. You broke that law, right? That law was there to tell you that those laws, but they don't just come up with those numbers. I don't know, let's just say 75. No, they organize the road Pastor. They organize the road to be driven on in a certain range of driving. And what they have said, and you know, it may be 55 to 75, and we're just gonna 55 to let's say 65 right here. That might be, but what they posted was the law, and the law says 65. So what they're saying is, if you go this route, you should be able to safely navigate on this road. What this spiritual law is saying is, if you want to reap, you're going to have to work.
These people don't want to work today.
You have to work for what you want. That's what the spiritual law is saying. Now, you can choose to be illegal, but what happens when a person is illegal? What happens when a person does something illegal? When you break a law, what happens?
Go to jail.
It's consequences.
There's consequences. Did we not say that there's consequences for all of our actions? Do you get what I'm saying? Okay. So keep that in mind. But, so with this, Pastor said that he planted a plant and he watered it and it still died. So therefore, there must be something bigger than just planting it and watering it. So we're saying our words are spirit, our words are seeds, those seeds are spirit. There must be something bigger than just talking it. You follow me? It must be something more to it. And I can't just say it and, oh, it happens. There must be something more, because Pastor is telling you, no, I got a plant, I planted it in the ground, and I watered it, and it still died. Oh, there's something's not right. Something happened. And what didn't happen is you have to create the environment. This is why purposeful planting comes into play. You have to create the right environment. So, I'm going to say this, and then I'll move.
So you saying I should have put it in the sun?
I said, you see what I'm saying?
You didn't tell
He watered it, but it was in the sun. So you have to.
Wrong soil.
Huh?
I said, or you used the wrong soil.
So, I like the way this one preacher explains this, but let me just explain. So it's a farmer, we're talking about a farmer and a field and growing, and the key thing is cultivation. So you may not be as familiar with growing, but you get the idea that you can't just take a plant, put it in the ground, and water, and it's going to grow. If you didn't know that, Pastor just gave us testimony on that. So a farmer cannot just go and say, I'm going to buy that right there, I'm just going to plant this and go, and it's going to grow, and I'm going to feed my family off of that. Can they do that?
No.
They're going to have to cultivate the ground. When you cultivate the ground, you literally change the environment. Okay? So if we're in a dry desert, the soil, our top soil is actually dirt. There is no nutrients in it. So if we're in a dry desert and I want to plant and I want to change the environment, I'm going to have to come and cultivate that land by adding nutrients into the dirt. You may call it fertilizer. I'm going to have to I'm going to have to bring so much water to keep it moist, right? I'm changing the pH of this dirt. I'm changing the whole environment. The way this one preacher explains it, he said that's where we get the word cult from. So a cult is a group of people that have been separated, and they're doing something completely different than everybody else. That's an occult, right? So when you're talking about agriculture, you're going to have to take this land
Different than the norm.
yep, and say, you know what, right here, I'm going to make this different than the norm. I'm going to water this. I'm going to put fertilizer in this. I'm going to fence it off. I'm going to put marigolds out here so the rabbits don't, because they don't like marigolds, so they're not going to come and eat my vegetables, right? I'm going to put this flowering fruit tree next to this one so that they can ferment together and have more fruit. I'm going to literally take this, and what do we call that in the Bible? Like, what is this called? Holy. Holy is set apart and sanctified. Huh?
It's 2:11.
Proverbs 2:19. So that's what this is. So what he's saying is, this is what agriculture means. So you're literally going to take something and you're going to separate it out and you're going to cultivate that land. So when you're speaking these words, when you're working this law, you literally have to take it and cultivate it. This is going to make more sense right here. the Bible said in Matthew 13:8, it talks about the stony ground, right? The ground that was amongst thorns.
Mhm.
And then it said one that, good ground, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm trying to grow something, if I'm trying to make something last, what God is saying in that parable is, well, you have to be careful, but you have to do purposeful planting. You can't just go and start sowing stuff in stony grounds. Hard-hearted people, unforgiving, hard-hearted, whatever, right? Unforgiving people. You can't just go amongst thorns, evil, wicked people, and start talking about, yeah, I trust you here. You can just hold my purse for me and take my wallet. Why would you do that? They're telling you, ugh, I don't like you. They got all these thorns. And you're going to sit there and so, you see what is it making sense? So you have to do purposeful planting. That's the point of this. You have to be cognizant of the environment that you're in. So when you're starting to do this law of sowing and reaping, you have to be purposeful in what you're planting. All right, so this is the last 2 points. The reason why you have to be purposeful, you guys, and you have to be intentional is Galatians 6:7-10. Galatians 6:7-10 tells you that God is not mocked.
Oh, yeah.
So what he's saying is, you will not make fun of this all-powerful God just because you chose to do it differently. Just because you chose to do it wrong. I'm a good tree. And you giving off bad fruit and you tell me you're a good tree. And what he's saying is no. At this fundamental level on this law, the reason why is because you will not make a mockery of God. So the reason why it's a mockery is because it's a joke against the power in which God made you. In the unseen, it causes a laughter, a mockery, and a ridicule. When you sitting there giving off bad fruit, telling people, I'm a good tree. I'm a good tree. Okay? So, I'm going to write this out and then I'm done. So that you can understand purposeful planting. And then this will complete this one. So, if I want to get friendship, Proverbs 18:24 tells me that I have to be friendly. Okay? And does the law work good and bad, or only one? Does the law change when it's a good person and change when it's a bad person? Or is it just a law?
It's just a law.
It's just a law. So therefore, if I want mess, I'm going to move it a minute. If I want mess, which comes from the kingdom of darkness, right? Right? Fear, doubt, evil. The kingdom of darkness. If I want mess, then Proverbs 11:18, the B portion of that, and then Proverbs 22:8, 22:8, the A portion of that lets me know when I plant wickedness, when I plant evil, I reap wickedness. So you want to be messy, you go around talking about everybody, you planting those seeds, that's what you're going to get in your garden. What about tithing? How does tithing fall under this law? Well, if I need something, all my needs are actually sustained in my giving. And not just my giving, but my giving first fruits to God, acknowledging Him. I got all these bills. Ooh, Lord, I don't want to open them. Well, that's the devourer. If you're tithing, you don't have that. Because this law is at work for you. Jackie was explaining that. Let me do that one first. Let me do Jackie last. And then what about forgiveness?
Man, you got to forgive.
Yeah, if I want forgiveness, didn't Jesus say the same way? He said, first, if you forgive, my Father will forgive you. And then he goes on to clarify, the same way in which you forgive, that's the way God is going to forgive you. So if you drag your feet, I can't really, I don't know, it just, you don't know how much it bothered me. That's how God's going to forgive you. Don't drag his feet. Because it's not that he's mean, it's because he set the law in motion. He set it in motion. Jackie said that some people take her kindness for weakness. So this is where the sacrifice of the believer in that waiting period comes into play. Because it tells us if we remain steadfast and don't grow weary, that we shall reap. We shall reap what we sow, what we put into it. Gave you a whole bunch of scriptures for that one.
For sacrifice.
Yeah, for sacrifice. First Corinthians 15:43, and then John 12. So,
Can you go read those offerings? Please.
all right. So, purposeful planting. It says friendship. Proverbs 18:24. I could have you read them, but I'm trying to go for time. Proverbs 18:24 says, you want a friend, you gotta show yourself friendly. The second one says mess. You want mess in your life? No problem. Proverbs 11:18 tells you, well, you just keep being evil and you'll get wickedness. That's what you plant, evilness and mess. That's what's gonna grow up in your garden is wickedness. Proverbs 11:18, the B portion. And then Proverbs 22:8, the A portion. What about tithing? Tithing, Luke 6:38. Pressed down, shaken together, and running over shall men give into your bosom, not into your pocket. What about forgiveness?
Matthew 6:14.
That's right, Matthew 6:14-15. Jesus himself explains how this works. You want to be forgiven? You have to forgive.
That's right.
And he goes on to really explain it. It's literally in the method in which you do it. How you do it is how it's going to be done to you. Sacrifice. Psalms 126:5. Let me see if I can. Psalms 126:5, and it says, "They that sow in tears shall reap in joy." Galatians 6:9. Galatians 6:9 says, "And let us not be weary in well-doing, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not." That's the waiting. 1 Corinthians 15:43. "It is sown in dishonor, it is raised in glory. It is sown in weakness, but it is raised in power." This is because you sacrificed. You sowed a sacrifice. You did it unto God. And then John 12:24, the last one. "Verily, verily, I say unto you, except a corn of wheat fall into the ground and die, it abide alone. But if it dies, it shall bring forth much fruit." So this is telling you the amount of sacrifice that has to go with it. When you're talking about that friend and you're showing them kindness and they're being evil to you, you're going to have to sow it in such a way that you are set, it's settled. I'm going to be kind to you. No matter how you treat me, I'm going to be kind to you, and I will go down with that. I'm just a kind person. I'm not kind to you because you're kind to me. I'm just kind. You stand with that, that goal, like I said, it falls on the ground and die, it will come up and it will bring forth much fruit, and you're going to get your kindness back in return. And not only is that person going to treat you kind, but everybody else that saw you sowing that seed, they're going to start to treat you kind because of this principle. Because of this law. Okay, so any questions? Yay, we got through another law. Well, Lord, we just ask that you bless this lesson. Allow it to grow us up in your word. We pray, Lord, that the seeds that were shared tonight, that they will manifest in our life, and that we will be able to mature in this, mature in our walk with you, and that we'll be able to apply these spiritual laws so that we can overcome the enemy in this world. We ask that you take us home safely without the loss of one. Thank you for this ministry, our pastor, evangelist. We just ask that you continue to get the glory and honor. In Jesus' name.